So, I have been telling you about moments in time, and one of those moments is in early 1923 at the station at Bialystok, where a train has arrived. It's a long train of about 14 cattle cars, and waiting for the train are the people who've come to meet those who are on it. And they're waiting for people that they haven't seen for a long time. And the train is opened. The doors, which can only be opened from the outside, slide back to reveal a horror story, because the passengers in those cattle cars have been locked in the train for 14 days. And appearing at the door are people thin, looking shocked, looking completely horrified, and they need to be helped out of the train. And the terrible thing is that a number of people don't get off the train because they have died in those cattle cars. So the air is full of shouts of agony, of despair, of the horror of waiting for people who, when they got there, were dead. And one of the last people to emerge alive from the train is a woman who has two little boys, one of 8 years old and the other of 6 years old, who are holding her hand, looking out onto the scene, and there below them is a man looking upwards. And that man, as he looks upwards, barely recognizes his wife. He doesn't know the two little boys. He last saw them when the older of the two was 3 years old and the other one was a babe in arms. And his wife looks terribly thin. He really only recognizes her by her eyes, and she hands the two boys down to him, and to each of them he gives a sweet that he's been holding, and the two boys wolf the sweet, and he looks up and he helps his wife down and he hugs her, and he's shocked by how she is nearly a skeleton. They hardly speak to each other whilst they embrace. The one boy wolfs the sweet and then, like a starved rat, dives into the bag that the man has brought, and he finds a loaf of bread and some butter, and the little 8-year-old boy, the older of the two, devours the butter completely, eats the lot, and then starts eating the paper that the butter was wrapped in. The man asks the woman, he says, "Where is your mother?" And she says, "My mother died 18 months ago during the winter." And the man says, "And where are our things?" Because he had thought that she would bring those things from Odessa. And she says, "There's nothing. We even had to burn my piano to keep warm." And the man looks at the two boys who are now fighting over a loaf of bread, and he says, "I think it is time for me to take you home to the farm that I have made for you." And he takes this starved woman and these two boys who are like little skeleton rats in rags, and he puts them onto a cart that is pulled by a horse. By then, the man has completely sobered up. When the train arrived, he'd been waiting for it for 7 days, and he was completely drunk. But he has come round and he gets the children into the cart. His wife sits beside him, and they ride on the cart the 30 miles to where the farm is on the edge of East Prussia. And these Poles have come home.